Wyatt, you've also helped uncover something that really flips one of Israel's biggest talking points on its head. So, for months, Israel's accused Hamas of hiding behind civilians, of using homes, hospitals, and schools as shields. But your new reporting shows Israel was doing the exact same thing, hiding a secret military bunker under civilian buildings in Tel Aviv, right where regular people live and work. And when that site was hit by Iran, Israel called it an attack on civilians. But if there was a military command center buried under those buildings, that's a very different story. So walk us through what you found in that investigation.
Absolutely. Well, this is another investigation we just released at the Grayzone. I co-authored this with Jack Paulson, who I mentioned earlier, an excellent researcher who's done a great work and kind of collating a lot of these emails at techinquiry.org. What we found was that uh, through geolocation and through an analysis of some of these emails and some Hebrew media, that we were able to identify the location of the Site 81 construction, uh, which is a an add-on to the so-called Fortress of Zion, this bunker that exists in central Tel Aviv under the Hakiria, under the sort of military district, right there in the middle of Tel Aviv. And so during one of the first days of the 12-day war this year between Israel and Iran, that Israel obviously launched this unprovoked assault on Iran, and Iran responded by firing missiles back at Tel Aviv. This particular strike was not really reported on. The strike on this location, the so-called Da Vinci Towers, was generally ignored, strangely, by Israeli media. There were a handful of videos of this that came out that were published by Reuters and some Western. France 24 published an article about this. But in Israel, the fact that this residential tower had been struck by Iran, which you would assume they would be shouting from the rooftops for all to hear, was unmentioned for 2.5 weeks. They didn't report on this at all, which I think is kind of the first clue that you have that something here is amiss, that
Mhm.
something, they're not quite telling us the full story. Um, the confirmation came in a 2013 Army Corps of Engineers report, um, which shows a quote basement test site for the planned construction of Site 81. And for whatever reason, in this publicly available report, they featured the background of the skyline of Tel Aviv. And by
And this is the US
identifying
Army Corps
the
of
U.S.
Engineers.
Army Corps of Engineers, features the background of which was retrofitting and helping install Site 81. It's a joint U.S. Israeli military installation, and so they were carrying out the feasibility studies. They were testing the steel strength and the concrete strength, and testing, I suppose, its viability for an underground bunker, and somehow released this image that has the background of Tel Aviv. And so you can geolocate very easily. You can identify two of the towers in the background, and then from five of these uh, very peculiar looking pipes, which are protruding from the tower next door, the Kanaret, the Air Force headquarter building. You can find those same pipes
Mm.
on one particular image on Google Maps. Now, funnily enough, that's the only image available on Google Maps, because the rest of that entire perimeter surrounding that block has been scrubbed from Google Maps, and you can't find a Google Street View of it at all. It's not available. The same way with Yandex, the Russian search engine. You cannot physically inspect this location on their maps
And
sites
it's and
because
it's a
Israel
it's
has
a
censored it.
right, and it's a residential building?
It's a residential building. And what really threw me for a loop was one of the quotes that we found from Israeli media, from a resident who was describing, kind of him coming to the conclusion of, of what's really happening with the construction of a residential tower right in Israel's Pentagon. And he describes having talked to a friend in the recent months about it, and he said his friends told him, "Brother, don't you get that they approved the construction of all those towers to protect the Curia?" And he said, "Today I realized they've been paying 12,000 shekels. That's almost 4,000 US dollars a month to protect the Curia." And so that's him coming to the conclusion that he is a human shield, and he's been paying nearly
To
four
be a
grand a
human
month
shield.
to
Yeah.
be a human shield.
Wow. What hypocrites? I mean, and that's like, but even without knowing about this residential one, there was another building that was struck during that 12-day war. I think it was Mossad's headquarters that was struck, and that was also they'd struck it, and there was some reporting on it. There was like I wanna say like a Fox News reporter or someone that was reporting on it, and then everybody got really mad at him for actually showing the building and being like, "Oh, look, it's been hit," and then people were like, "That guy is the worst, he's, letting the enemy know what's been hit," and all. Do you remember that? Do you remember that
Yeah,
incident?
that was about 500 meters to the east
Okay,
of.
of this one,
So,
and
but it's the same. It's the same district. It's the Curia. It's the military district. So that was a strike that hit the Azrieli Center, and that, another building in the Curia, another Israeli military building, and so he was, but it was the same night. It was the same volley from Iran, and he was just right up the street,
right, and
effectively.
he was reporting on it, and then everybody got mad at him. But, during those strikes, of course, what did we hear from all of the Israelis and the Zionists? It was Iran striking civilians, Iran striking in the civilian area, and then we find out, well, that's a Mossad building in the middle of Tel Aviv. So, there your own narrative is used against you. You say you bomb everywhere in Gaza and say, well, that's because that's they hide themselves amongst the civilians. That's why they put their buildings, their military infrastructure in the middle of civilian life. Well, what do you call the middle of Tel Aviv? I mean, what do you call that?
There's
So
not enough, irony in the world to really pierce through this. What exact just how devious they are. There are not enough words to describe this. They I will also add that some of the emails that we identified, um, from, a similar tranche, these Handala emails, take place between the former commander of NATO, James Stavridis, and the former Israeli military chief of staff, someone named Gabi Ashkenazi. And in these emails, Stavridis specifically describes this as a command and control network. A command and control. Remember that was the big talking
yeah.
point, that the Israelis, underneath every hospital in Gaza was a Hamas command and control node.
Oh, Hamas was the most sophisticated military in the world, allegedly, because they had a command center everywhere. It was amazing.
Under every civilian infrastructure building in the entire strip, apparently. No, and so, here's the email from James Stavridis. He said, "Hi Gabby, I'm working with an exciting company called Think Logical here in the USA. They build command and control networks and just won a big contract out at Site 81 with the IDF. Command and control networks? What would one
Yeah,
of those be doing under a residential tower in central Tel Aviv? What would a command and control network be doing in a civilian neighborhood? Could it possibly be that the IDF was bullshitting all of us this entire time, and were simply projecting, as they've done for the past 75 years?"
yeah, right. They would never lie to us like that, Wyatt. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't be an anti-Semite, as they tell us. I mean, this is how big is this residential tower? I mean, how many people are living as human shields?
Uh, I don't have a number offhand.
But I mean,
And
is it a
just
tall building? Is it
it's
like
it's a
10
it's
stories or
quite a tall. It's certainly more than 10 stories.
more than 10 stories? Okay.
And And I did pick up from the reporting that plenty of people have since just tried to move out, since realizing the true purpose of their building is not to give them shelter or comfort as a normal home
Right.
is. It's to give shelter and comfort to Netanyahu.
No kidding. I would
Um,
be moving out of there the next day. I mean, are you kidding me? I'd be like, "That's it. I found out that you guys put a control and command center under my apartment building, and you're going around the world picking fights. Yeah, my building's gonna be first targeted. I'm out. I don't wanna be buried under the rubble. Bye." I mean, that would be anybody's logical decision. I can't believe they still get people to live in this.
yeah, well, it certainly sounded like it had dropped off, the interest in living there since the strike. Can only imagine why.
Wow. Um, and you guys were able to figure this out by geolocating.
We geolocated it, and then we I think you kind of have some confirmation just from the fact that it's blocked. It's totally blocked on Google Maps,
Right.
and on Yandex, and then these emails. This is something that Haaretz appeared to have identified the location and then declined to publish it.
They couldn't.
Other
It's
like,
against the law. I mean,
well, yeah,
Israel blocks a lot of stuff if it's of military importance.
right. Others, like the New York Times, have visited the Fortress of Zion and described it to their readers, but will not uh, reveal the location, unsurprisingly. But as far as I'm aware, we're the first ones to confirm the specific location of this.
So
Um,
and they call this the Fortress of Zion. So
the Fortress of Zion.
this really is the control and command center,
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like something a Superman villain would come
right?
up with for their
Like his
evil
lair.
lair,
Yeah.
right?
And this is
But
under a residential building. I mean, the hypocrisy, the hypocrisy. But they do that on purpose because they figured, well, if you bomb the building, then we can blame you and say, you've attacked us. Now we could come after you. And look what you've done to us. Right. I mean, that's why they did it.
it's
That's why they put it
it's
there.
like all forms of Israeli diplomacy. It's just one long exercise in deception.
What are we going to do, Wyatt? I mean, they're controlling our media. They lie to us. People gobble it up. I mean, not as many people anymore. They're losing people
Well,
left and
that's the
right.
silver lining. Is the more and more openly they lie to our faces, the more and more people start calling bullshit, and that's really the only hopeful aspect I think of any of this is that maybe they're just gonna go too far too fast, and it's gonna freak out the normies, and we'll have more and more people kind of realizing that this is kind of an existential question at this point, whether or not you want to have
Yeah.
rights, whether or not you want to have a constitution that does what it says it does. It's becoming clearer and clearer that we will have to address the Zionist elephant in the room.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that is something that's going to have to be addressed. I mean, our sovereignty seemingly appears to be gone each and every day that we find out more and more. It feels like our sovereignty that we're not a sovereign nation, that we're under siege, completely under siege. And I mean, and that's the thing about both of these stories that you've reported on. I mean, if this was especially the first one with them trying to take over the media and get all these billionaires in on spreading propaganda, paying for propaganda. I mean, if it were China that were doing that, there would be screams, I mean, screeches coming from Washington, D.C. about this and shutting down every single network that colluded with China and in this propaganda campaign. But nobody says a word with it being Israeli. Nobody says a word.
Yeah, first of all, I don't even think you could find 12 Chinese billionaires who would go along with anything like this, or they would probably rat you out to the FBI if you tried. You would have, somebody would say there's somebody trying to get me involved in some bizarre espionage thing.
Right, and I don't wanna be involved. I don't wanna lose
Right.
everything if I get involved. I mean, they because
Right.
they know they would lose everything, but Israelis just think they could do whatever they want. They don't care.
Right. Right.
It's because they can.
Yeah, exactly. That's I think something that also stood out to me in the course of reporting on all these emails and going through them. It's just none of them seem even slightly concerned that they're going to get caught doing any of this, or that they're really even doing anything wrong.
Right.
Um, that's kind of mind blowing to
I
me.
mean, could you imagine if a foreign government contacted me, was like, Kim, we've got these billionaires. We want you to propagandize on behalf of our foreign country. And we have billionaires that are willing to pay you. It won't come from us, of course. You can't be paid for, but we have a billionaire that'll fund it. I mean, are you kidding me? No, hello. That's red flag should be going up. Traitor, traitor to the country. I mean, totally and completely insane, but, Israeli, it's fine if it's done by Israel. Absolutely bonkers. Wyatt Reed, thank you so much for joining us and giving us this insight on your great reporting. You do fantastic reporting. We do have the links down below to both of those pieces that you wrote with Jack Paulson, secret Israeli military bunker located under Tel Aviv tower struck by Iran. So we have that link to that Grayzone piece, and also the other one that you did with Max Blumenthal. New CBS owner David Ellison met with top Israeli general in scheme to spy on Americans. Everybody should read these and be more educated. And also, we have your link to follow you on X. So, Wyatt Reed, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me. Look forward to hopping on again.
Thank you for watching this clip from the full Kim Iverson Show, which you can catch Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern at KimIversonShow.com. It is free for you to watch. Again, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, KimIversonShow.com. See you there.